Good morning, OptoFam. It's currently 6 in the morning and I'm just making my last trip out to my last rotation site in Tulsa, Oklahoma at a VA. So let's get back on the road again.
Right now it's 11 degrees outside, feels like 6. As we travel to Tulsa, leaving Colorado, it's going to be nice, cold, but as we get farther east this afternoon, it'll be raining into Oklahoma, so we're ready for that.
Hey OptoFam, so I just moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'll be at a VA out here and I'm just about to check out my Airbnb. Hey guys, so I wanted to shout out Johnson & Johnson Vision again. You've probably heard about their new contact lens called AccuView Oasis with Transitions Light Intelligent Technology. It's a new contact lens that darkens when you go outside to protect your eyes from the sun and then lightens when you go inside. It's a new contact lens that has pushed the boundaries for its kind and new technology in contact lenses. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out jnjvisionpro.com/AccuView-transitions. It'll be in the bottom of this video. Go ahead and check that out to stay up to date with this current technology. Now let's get back to the video. How and what to prepare for the Part 3 exam. I remember the first question that I had was, when do I even sign up for it? And I remember soon after I took Part 1 along with some of my classmates, we decided to sign up for it pretty soon after that because the time slots fill up relatively quickly because everybody in the country is signing up for it pretty much around the same time. Now that being said, when do you sign up for a time slot, or which time slot specifically? And for me, I ended up doing it relatively early because my first rotation site was already in North Carolina, so I just thought I would knock it out right away, whereas other people wanted to sign up for it later for whatever other reason. And looking back at it, I'm really happy I signed up for it early because after you take Part 2, which is usually in December, you just coast the rest of rotations, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now, and I love it. Hey guys, so we just moved me in and we're just trying to kill some time by going to the zoo, so let's check it out. So guys, the second question I had was, should I sign up for the injection skills exam? Some students sign up for it because their states allow optometrists to do injections, such as FA testing on patients. Some students sign up for it just to have it even if their state doesn't allow it. Some students just don't even sign up for it at all. I personally didn't want to do it because initially it's $250. And also I just didn't feel like, even if down the road my state, I'm thinking about going back to Colorado, and even if Colorado allowed it to become legal for optometrists to do those injections, I feel like I would probably forget how to do it. So if that does happen down the road, I might go back and just redo it. But for the time being, I just didn't think it was necessary. But if you ask other students, they might do it for any other reason. And so the next question I had was, how much time should I prepare for Part 3? And I think if you ask the average student, they'll say about a week or so. And I think that's pretty safe to say, but it really comes down to how well you can memorize a script, especially for Part 1 when you have a lot of case history questions. You just cannot miss those, and you just don't want to be stumbling as you're having a conversation with your patient, both trying to remember what they're saying and also trying to remember what you're about to ask next. And I think I spent the most time on that because the other stations are just a reflection of the skills that you already have from third year. And so how should I, prepare for part 3? Some people have a lot of time to prepare for this. Personally, I only practiced retinoscopy on a couple patients where I could fit it in, either with them or technicians or others, or my other one student that was with me in North Carolina. But I think what I've come to realize is that if you can schedule your part 3 the same quarter that you're back at your school, you'll just have more opportunities and potentially more time to practice it on other students. So it really comes down to just memorizing script and maybe brushing up on a couple skills that you might feel a little bit weak in. Personally, I had to really review contacts and retinoscopy, and I only got a chance to practice one of those, so you just do the best you can. But I think overall, you just want to really go ahead and try to memorize that script in your head over and over again, and that's what I did. I did that about maybe once or twice a day, a week before I took it, and I thought that went pretty well. Boards Part 3 in one word.
Definitely preparation.
Preparation. All right, Brandon, what is your wisdom for the community?
Part 3 in one word, repetition.
Okay, my friend Lilith here is from Armenia, and she knows fluent Russian. And how do you say hi in Russian?
Привет.
My other friend Zuha knows how to say hi in Urdu. How do you say hi?
Assalamu alaikum.
So, what type of advice could I give for people that haven't taken it yet? And you'll hear different advice from different students, but overall, I would say I would really take advantage of the preparation time that they give you before you start part 3. They give you roughly 30 minutes or so to look at the equipment and get familiar with it. And I remember the slit lamp was a hog stripe, but it wasn't a typical hog stripe because they had switches at the top. The light sources weren't really typical, and so you just had to get familiar with those. They also have a BIO that's a keeler, and I was not familiar with the keeler, so I had to mess with the switches and light source for that. I'd also say the blood pressure arm, the plastic arm they give you, is not really typical. I remember when I first started to practice with it, I put the bell of my stethoscope right where they teach you to, and I couldn't hear a thing. And I tried it over and over again. I thought it was really faint, but I just wasn't hearing anything. And then I finally had to ask another student who had said that you have to look for just like a thinner portion on the plastic arm itself, because there's certain portions where you won't really hear it too well. And so I thought that was a little strange, but you got to kind of figure things out in that time. Busiest station was part 2, just because you're always doing something, so you can't really slack off too much there. But for most stations, I had about 3 to 5 minutes at the end just to make sure I didn't forget anything, but for most stations you'll be just fine. And I remember one of the most frustrating things when I first started was make sure in station 2 that your the mirror in your room is looking at the VA chart, because I remember that was my first station and my patient was telling me that they couldn't see any of the letters on the chart for even entering VAs, and that kind of threw me off a little bit. And so I just had to turn the mirror so she could see the letters. And so I don't know if they did that intentionally, but it was just a little strange. But that's my experience. They give you an instructional video on the NBEO website to review, to answer most of your questions. And they also play it for you before your preparation time in part 3. And so they make sure that you're very well informed. And during that preparation time as well, they have a proctor that answers any other questions that you might have. So that shouldn't be too much of a worry for you. Oh, and I should add too, they might have told me this, but for stations 2 and 4, you have proctors in your room with you, but they don't come in until your time actually starts. And so I remember going into my room for my preparation time, which is usually about 5 minutes before they actually start the time. So they're not in there during that time, but when they announce you know, go ahead and start over the intercom, you know, you shut your door and then the proctors come in from the other side of the room, which I didn't know about until it actually happened. So I was just like, oh, welcome, come on in. It really threw me off. So just be ready for that. So guys, that's just my input and experience with part 3. It really isn't too much to worry about. It's definitely not the caliber of a part 1 or part 2 exam, but some students definitely underestimate it, I think, and they come out feeling a little bit less confident. But if you ask other students, they'll have different things to say about it as well. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Keep staying bold, passionate, and hungry, and we'll see you next time.